How, she asked. How are you going to prove it? Well, I don't know, but I'll figure it out. Don't say it, Patty. Don't say it. I promise. I said it and instantly felt like I messed up, like I said something wrong. I wished I had an invisible cupcake to stuff in my mouth. Something. Something stupid. Pretend tea. Anything. I mean, how was I going to prove my legs weren't going to run away from me? Would this be one of those things I was going to have to hope Maddie just forgot about? But the pressure of it all was worth it because the worry on Maddie's face unwound. She nodded and then hit me with the gut punchiest of all gut punches. Pinky promise? Oh no. Pinky promises, for us, ain't no joke. They're like contracts. Breaking a pinky promise, break a pinky promise, and people will make you feel like you in jail or something. Friendship jail. Or in this case, big sister jail. Maddie held her pinky out. I hooked mine onto hers, touched thumbs. Now she knew there was no way I would let her down. Then she got back to business. She tapped the letter. So, you know where to send this? She followed, blow after blow after blow. Killing me, Waffle. But this one I couldn't answer at all. I just couldn't. So I left the room, ran to my room, threw myself on the bed, and curled into a ball. Breathe, Patty, breathe. Crazy thing was, the next day at school, we were having a field day, and I was paired on a relay race team with Lou. I know I said I never ran one, but this wasn't like a real relay. It was more just slapping each other's hands and running as fast as we could. And after our race, it was Lou who told me about the track club that he was in at the time, the Sparks. That night, I went home and asked Uncle Tony and Momley, and all the dots connected. My first club team. The rest, as they say, is history or present. All I know is I just seemed like something somewhere. Legs don't got souls, right? Was telling me to do it, pushing me to do it. Not just for me, but for Dad, and for Ma, and for Maddie, who, bonus, I suddenly, thankfully, had an answer for. Pinky promise and all. Turkey wings. Momly made turkey wings every single night. Every single night. So it's always funny because when Uncle Tony says things like, dinner's almost ready, I never have to ask what we're having. I know what we're having. Turkey wings. With rice and a veggie. Usually broccoli. Not even turkey breasts or a turkey leg or even a turkey sandwich. Wings only. I had never had them before we came to live with them. I had never had them before we came to live with them. And the first night Momly cooked them, I told her I liked them. And that was it. It was set in stone. Turkey wings for life. Momly kept the kitchen just like she kept the car. Clean, germ-free, scrubbed from top to bottom, with something sudsy and bright colored, like sun yellow that smelled like a rotten lemon, or mutant green that smelled like every flower in the world sneezed. I pulled up to the table. Maddie was peeling fat off the meat. Cauliflower tonight. White broccoli, but not nearly as white as the spotless dinner plates. After I told Momly what I had to tell her every night, which was that I'm sorry for not finishing my homework in time to help her, she kicked off the dinner small talk with telling us about her favorite patient. See, she got her own business, but it don't make her about money, where she takes care of sick people. Emily's Expert Care, which I think is a terrible name, by the way. Ain't got no warmth to it. No hug in it. I think it should be called something like In Emily's Arms or Mobile Mom, something like that. Maddie thinks it should be called Momly to the rescue. And well, even though I don't like that name either, It would at least be a true statement, at least for Ma, because when me and Maddie went to go live with Momley and Uncle Tony, it just made sense for Momley to add Ma to her client list, along with the most talked about of them all, Mr. Warren, who Momley calls the sweetest old man alive. But I don't really know if my mother is the sweetest old lady alive. And Ma wasn't really happy about none of it at first because she don't really like nobody taking care of her. But at least it's family and not some stranger, even though she can definitely be a lot to deal with. Actually, now that I think about it, maybe a stranger would have been better. I bet during these first few visits, Ma almost drove Momley to Jesus too, or off a cliff. Well, my favorite patient besides your mother, Momley clarified about Mr. Warren. He was an old man who had Alzheimer's, which basically just means he can't remember too much no more. She said sometimes random stuff popped into his head, but usually he doesn't know where he is, even though he's in his own house. So he just stays in bed now, and Momley goes over there and feeds him, and makes sure he's all cleaned up while his daughters run around taking care of errands and stuff. Momley's been looking out for him for a long time. I went to use the bathroom, and when I got back to the room, he was up out of bed, tearing the room apart, looking for something. He was yanking clothes out of the closet and snatching pictures off the wall. So I asked him what he was looking for, and he said, something to buff the floor with. Buff the floor? Tony asked. I was just as confused. That's what he said. And when I told him the floor didn't need buffing, he explained that he had mouths to feed and who was going to take care of his family. Momley laid her napkin in her lap all proper, like she was eating in front of folks she ain't know. Eventually, I got him to calm down. I got him back into the bed where he seemed to just melt back into himself. And I put everything back in the closet and hung the pictures back on the wall. She shook her head. Just one of those days, poor guy. Momley took a breath and then turned to me. Speaking of pictures on the wall, Patty, how's the whole Frida thing going? Momley now pushed her fork through one of the tiny trees. Tired seems to sit in her cheeks, makes her face look saggy. It wouldn't have surprised me if she fell asleep right there at the table. It's Frida, right? I nodded. I asked her if she knew anything about Frida when we got the first assignment, but she said she didn't. She had seen her pictures, but that was pretty much it. It's going okay, I told her. She seemed like a cool lady. But not as cool as you, Uncle Tony said, wiggling his eyebrows. I wasn't sure if Momley was done small-talking me about my school project, but if she wasn't, Uncle Tony definitely ended any chance of continuing because he awkwardly made a hard left into a totally different conversation. How was practice? Frida to track practice? Worst transition of all time. This is why Momley's the small talk queen and Uncle Tony's the cartoon character. But I knew Uncle Tony wasn't trying to be rude, and that his jumpiness was all about my second place loss at the meet on Saturday, which, by the way, he wasn't at. Had an emergency at the office. He does something called information technology, which is IT for short, or IT for even shorter, which is what he says, which all just means he works with computers. And apparently, sometimes computers have emergencies. Anyway, all this weird dinner time chat was his way of knocking on the door of my brain like, hey, is it okay to come in? And if it wasn't for practice today, maybe I'd still be mad. I told him and Momley and Maddie about being chosen for the 4x800 relay team and doing the waltz. The waltz? Like the ball gown? Pinky in the air dance? Pinky in the air was Uncle Tony's way of saying fancy. Yep, it was to teach us something about being in tune with each other. Like knowing each other so well that we didn't even have to think about the handoff. Maddie, sweetheart, eat your cauliflower, Momley's exhausted voice slid between me and Uncle Tony's. Maddie groaned. Eat your cauliflower, I repeated. It'll make you strong. Uncle Tony, following my lead, curled his arms up, making his muscles jump. Maddie smiled. Well, if doing the waltz is all it takes, then let me show you how to run even faster, Uncle Tony said. Then, as soon as he had said it, he braced himself, thinking I would catch feelings, as if I thought he was saying I don't run fast enough. And judging by Saturday, I don't. Not fast enough. But it was cool. Uncle Tony, I'm not mad no more, I told him, getting straight to the point so he could stop acting so weird. His shoulders dropped, rolled back as he just unbuttoned the top of his pants after a big meal. Oh, thank God. He exhaled the words, and I smirked, then tapped my foot on Maddie's plate. She stabbed a piece of cauliflower, lifted it to her mouth. Uncle Tony continued, So yeah, if you want to run faster, try this. He scooted out from the table, Momley already frowning at whatever was coming. And then it came. The strangest thing I've seen Uncle Tony do, maybe ever. The Running Man. Spastic and offbeat and all over the place. Maddie bursted out laughing, white mush in her mouth, and I was right behind her, my laughter scrubbing away the last 10% of sad in me. Uncle Tony lurched forward, pumping his legs, panting. This is how you do it, Patty. And I kept snickering. My uncle, a straight up clown.